Hi everyone, so today I'll be testing out Wet n Wild Photo Focus Foundation. So up until about 6 months ago, I hadn't even looked at a Wet n Wild product in probably about 30 years. I remember being super obsessed with the brand when I was about 12 to 14 years old. I remember wearing their crazy blue nail polish regularly. I started using some of their eyeshadow palettes a few months ago, and I'm very impressed with the quality of them. Wet n Wild has definitely been stepping up their game. So I'm curious to try out this foundation too and see what I think of it. So looking on Wet n Wild's website, the product retails for $5.99. You get 1 fluid ounce of product, which is pretty standard, and it comes in 20 different shades, which is pretty good. I have the shade Buff Bisque, which is a light shade with yellow undertones. I probably could have gone a shade lighter than this, but most of the shades available had more pinky undertones. Alright, so the claims on the website are that it is a high-performing skin perfecting foundation. It underwent major road testing under 7 different photo lighting conditions to deliver flawless and camera-ready makeup every time. Specifically made with a matte light diffusing complex to give your skin a no filter perfection. Wow, okay. Those are a lot of claims. So if you want to know what I think of Wet n Wild's Photo Focus Foundation and how it applies and wears throughout the day, don't go anywhere, just keep watching. So I've already washed and moisturized my face and primed it with my Rimmel Lasting Finish Primer. I'm going to do this half of my face with a sponge and this half of my face with a brush. And this is the Heavenly Skin CC Plus Skin Perfecting Brush, number 702. Oh, forgot about the paddle. Not sure I'm feeling the paddle. I prefer things that come with a pump. Alright, we'll start with that. If I need more, I can always add more. Less is more. We'll start with that and see how it goes. I don't know. It's kind of going on a little thin, which, I mean, if that's what you're going for, okay. But, I don't want a thick, heavy coating of foundation today, but I kind of want a little bit more than what it's given so far. I mean, with the sponge, it's looking light to medium at best. Okay, I'm gonna go and do the other half with the brush and see how it looks. I mean, it's nice. The finish is really nice. Yeah, I think I might need just a little bit more today. Just a wee bit. I don't want it too thick either because it's a bit warm out for, well, I say warm. It's warm for Canada out today. I mean, it's 22 degrees, so we're not dealing with a heat wave. It's a little drippy with the paddle, just be warned. Okay, gotta do this quick. Don't want it running down the face. Actually, even with the brush, it's not, I mean, it's not super heavy coverage, so, I mean, if that's what you're going for, you might need another layer. I'm okay with this. I mean, again, it's going to be warm today, and I have these images every time it's warm of foundation just running down my face. So I think I'm going to finish off with the brush, but just very, very lightly. I'm a little nervous about this oxidizing today because this foundation doesn't have a sunscreen in it. So I had to put a moisturizer with an SPF of 30 on my face because I freckle and I burn like crazy. But I find anything with any moisturizers with an SPF in it cause my foundation to oxidize like crazy. I mean, if it turns me a shade or two darker and I look tanned, I'm okay with that. But if I look like an Oompa Loompa, like bright orange, not okay with that. Okay, let's have a look at this. Even with the brush, the coverage is probably medium at best, which again, I'm okay with. It's a very, very thin foundation, so even if you add a bit more, I'm not sure it would give you like heavy, heavy coverage. But I mean, the finish of it is really nice. It dries very quickly and it's sitting on my skin really well. You know, it doesn't say it's a matte foundation, but it does dry matte, but it doesn't dry like cakey and it doesn't dry It's not drying out my skin, which I'm okay, which I'm very happy with. Debating whether or not to set it with a powder today, only because it is going to be warm. I'll have to think about this one. But coverage from one layer is definitely medium. I can still see my freckles coming through, and then of course a little bit of melasma up here and dark circles. I'll have to put on some concealer to deal with the dark circle issue. It is what it is. So far, it doesn't seem to be oxidizing, but we'll see what happens after I put on the rest of my makeup. Here's hoping. But right now, it's blending really well with my skin tone. I have the shade, what shade do I have? I have the shade Buff Bisque. I'm very light in my complexion, but I have yellow undertones. So I tend to go for foundations that are just a little bit more beige, but still on the light side. But so far it's looking okay. I don't see any dry patches being highlighted, which is good. I'll take it. And then down here, my skin is feeling good. It's not feeling overly dry, which is always a little bit of a concern for me. So I think because it's going to be a little bit warmer today, I'm going to put a bit of powder on my face. I'm not going to go too crazy. I don't want this melting off my face if it gets warm outside. So I'm going to go put on the rest of my makeup and I will be right back. So the time check is 11:05. We had a bit of a foundation debacle here that you guys didn't see. So I chose to powder my face, which it ended up being a big mistake. I don't know what happened. I don't know if it was the foundation, if it was the powder, or if it was me, or the combination of all three. But I applied a layer of powder and the foundation just started to cake like crazy. Like to the point where I just couldn't go out in public. It looked so bad. Just for reference, I used the Bye Bye Pores from IT Cosmetics. Again, I'm not sure what happened. It just did not work. It just ended up being a big cakey disaster and I had to literally scrub my face and start again. So it is definitely a matte finish, but we'll see how it holds up throughout the day without the powder. It's only supposed to be 22 today, so I can't see it melting off my face, but we'll see. Anything could happen. It has darkened a little bit. I don't know if it's the foundation or if it's the sunscreen underneath the foundation. I'm not turning orange, thankfully, but I definitely have more of a bronzy glow. Overall, the finish of it is really nice. Now that I no longer have the powder on my face, there's no creasing, there's no caking, there's no settling into any fine lines, which is good. There's no dry patches on my forehead that are being accentuated, so I'm happy with that. So I'll be wearing this foundation throughout the rest of the day, and the next time I check in with you will be in natural lighting and you can see how it looks. So the time check is 4:21. The foundation has been on my face for 5 hours now. I was going to take you guys out on the balcony with me to show you what it looks like in natural light. However, there is a massive spider out there and I just don't do bugs. I just don't, especially one of this size. So the best I could do is to prop my camera in front of my window and hopefully you can see what it looks like. So I didn't set this with a powder because, as I said earlier this morning, I had a bit of a debacle with the finishing powder for whatever reason. It was either the foundation that rejected it or it was just the powder for whatever reason decided that it didn't like the foundation. Either way, the two got on my skin and created a big mess. It was cakey, it was dry, it was just not good. It was completely unwearable with the powder. So I was a little concerned that the foundation by itself wouldn't last throughout the day without a finishing powder. However, it has held up really well so far. There is a teeny bit of breakage around my nose area, but it's very, very subtle. There's nothing in my lines around my eyes. Around my chin area is still holding up strong, and there's no dry patches along my forehead. Overall, considering this foundation is only $6, I'm impressed. The only thing I really don't care for is the color. It started off okay, but it has oxidized. I'm not 100% sure it's just the foundation because I put this over my oil of Olay, which has an SPF of 30 in it. And I have found anytime I use that moisturizer with any foundation, it will oxidize it like crazy. So I'm not 100% convinced that it's the foundation that's oxidizing on its own. I think it might be the foundation reacting with my moisturizer that's causing this. So I didn't use the setting powder and it ended up working out okay. There's no caking anywhere. There's a little teeny tiny shiny area but on my forehead, but it's ever so subtle, and a teeny tiny area on my nose. So this is definitely a matte finish foundation. Unless you have oily or combo skin, you probably don't need a finishing powder with it. Nothing dry at all on my skin, thankfully. I'm always so nervous when trying out a new foundation that it's just gonna suck all the moisture out of my skin, and this didn't happen at all. Everything, the finish is beautiful. So those are my results so far. I will check in with you guys later and let you know the results for the rest of the day. So the time check is 9:28. The foundation has been on my face for about a little over 10 hours now. Overall, I'm impressed. It's held up really well. Getting close here. My forehead is a little bit shiny, but it's not oily or greasy. Same thing with my nose. There's a little bit of shine on the tip of my nose, but there's nothing oily or greasy about it. So considering I've had it on my face for 10 hours without a finishing powder, I'm impressed with how it's held up overall. It definitely dried to a matte finish, although it's not labeled as a matte foundation. So I was a little concerned in the beginning because historically speaking, me and matte foundations do not get along, mainly because they tend to highlight dry patches on my forehead or even around my chin. But in this case, that didn't happen. My only real complaint about it would be the color. It's a little bit bronzy for me, but I think that had more to do with the moisturizer that I used than the actual foundation itself. That's just something to consider if you plan on buying this foundation. I'm not too terribly concerned about it because it didn't turn me orange. I'm just happy that I have another foundation to add to my collection that's inexpensive, that is long lasting. The longevity on this is beautiful. For $6 to find something that's long lasting, that doesn't cake on my face and doesn't settle any fine lines, I'll definitely be getting a lot of use out of this foundation. So those are my thoughts on the Wet n Wild Photo Focus Foundation. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you do, please give it a thumbs up. Consider subscribing if you'd like to see more videos like this, and I will see you next time. Bye!